Amanda Leitner, and welcome to Rochester Rising, where we amplify the stories of Rochester entrepreneurs. Welcome to episode 175 of the podcast today. So today on the podcast, I got to talk with local Rochester resident Manasseh Kambaki, who is the founder and president of Hope Fuse. So Manasseh is a native of Barron Springs, Michigan, but he's really lived all over the place. We talk about his journey in high school, where he went to high school in Connecticut, where he got a basketball scholarship to play basketball in the Boston area, but kept getting injured. We talk about his journey from Connecticut out to Austin, Minnesota, to Florida, and finally back to the Winona and Rochester region, and what drove him to really start the nonprofit organization that he runs, Hope Fuse, which he feels has been a calling for him to do his whole life. So Hope Fuse is a local nonprofit, and it was founded to explore and address solutions to the crippling impact of generational poverty in the lives of at-risk youth and overall youth in Rochester, Minnesota. This is a way Manasseh saw that he could give back to the community and that he could mentor kids and develop leaders. Hope Fuse enacts its programming on site at local schools as well as in their Hope Fuse office in Southeast Rochester. So in addition to talking about Hope Fuse, we also talk about how Manasseh has been navigating this time of COVID-19 and isolation, and how he's been using it to focus on what's important in his personal life and at Hope Fuse. So we sat down to record this podcast in late March. So really at the beginning stages of the isolation or the quarantine period here in Minnesota. So we had a great conversation with Manasseh on the podcast here today. And you can learn more about what he's doing at Hope Fuse on their website at hopefuse.com. And we have links to that as well as their social media in our show notes, so you can check that out there. So Rochester Rising is the storytelling arm of Collider, which is a Rochester-based 501c3 nonprofit that supports entrepreneurs through events, education, space, and storytelling. Rochester Rising was launched almost 4 years ago to amplify stories of Rochester entrepreneurs through insightful original content. So in addition to our podcast, you can find articles and video content on our website at rochesterrising.org. And you can find our podcast pretty much wherever you listen in to podcast content, including on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on our website, and we also post our podcast on our YouTube channel. So you can check it out there as well. All right, so now on to the podcast today with Manasseh Kambaki and Hope Fuse. All right. Well, yeah, thanks for doing this today via Zoom. It definitely helps to see people's faces too when you're talking, so it makes it a little better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll just start out by asking you, how did you originally get to the Rochester area?
So, long story short, I graduated high school in Connecticut, had a basketball scholarship to go play in Boston area. So then I went out there and actually, kind of ended up getting injured. And some other things happened where I actually went back home to New Haven, Connecticut, and actually did some rehab and kind of just trying to get myself out of the whole depressed zone, so that kind of took a couple months. And, the only time that I would actually leave the house is if, I went to pick up my siblings from school. And then when we also went to church, I started after about, I want to say 3 to 4 months, I started actually getting back in the gym and actually, working on my game again. So that's basketball. I started working out. I should just try to get myself back into, just get that life back. And then after that, my cousin that was actually living here in Minnesota told me about, this small school in Riverland in Austin, Minnesota. So I was like, well, you know what? I really don't want to move to Minnesota. But just to, get away from everything that's going on here, why not? So I talked to my parents about it, talked to my dad. My dad was game. Kind of had to bring it a little softer to my mother. And, eventually she was like, okay, after about a month, she kind of was like, okay, I think that'd be a good idea. I think you're old enough to kind of go by yourself and, mom's always going to worry about you. So she gave me the okay. So that was the green light for me to, pack my stuff and come to Austin, Minnesota, where it was a shock, coming from a big city to come into Austin, Minnesota. And the first thing I remember vividly was just the drive from the Twin Cities to Austin, where it's just nothing but corn, farms, small towns, and then get to Austin, Minnesota, and it just smelled horrible.
Yeah, got that hog smell.
The hog smell was the worst. I remember puking.
Yeah.
The first time I smelled it, I was like, you know what? I think this is not going to work for me. So then, I ended up going there, started studying human services at Riverland Community College there. And I was also on the men's basketball team. But just the level of competition wasn't the same to what I was used to. So then I kind of just fell out of love with the game of basketball. And then I moved out to Winona, attended Winona State for a little bit, and also did some psychology courses at a community college there, just to save some money. And then I was going to move and go to Canada, actually, and go to school and play some professional basketball out there. So then went down to Florida to live with my parents, work on my game and, get stronger. And again, I ended up actually spraining my knee, so all the ligaments in my knee, I sprained those. And I think that was the icing on the cake for my mother. She said, okay, I think this is enough for you with basketball. And she actually told me, she's like, you know what, I don't even want to hear anything about basketball anymore. Just focus on something else, with your life. So I was just like, well, I'm just going to focus on school. So then I went to Winona State. And that's when I started, just trying to focus on school. And then, but that itch was always there, to want to play at that, the high level as as competitive as I am as a person and an athlete. That's just one thing that I guess has kept me here in Minnesota for the longest, is just never to give up and, just quit when I'm doing something.
Yeah, it's definitely not a climate for the faint of heart. That's for sure. I think when my first experience here, it was like winter, and I flew into Minneapolis, and like the first time you fly in there, I felt like I was going to land on the road. Like it just flies so close over, whatever that is there. I can't even remember at this point, but yeah, that was crazy. I was like, are we landing? And it was all, it was probably like -20. It was all snow and ice, and
not a good start.
It was not a good start, but we both stayed here, so there's something keeping me here.
Good.
So we wanted to talk about Hope Fuse today. So when was this nonprofit started, and what is your mission?
Yeah. So before I even jump into that, I just want to thank you for the donation. For the good that you did there on Facebook. So Hope Fuse actually started, I want to say a couple years ago, where our oldest, it goes back to me being in high school and then, just watching athletes that always wanted to give back to their community, because my dream was to play in the NBA. I had the skill set, I have everything. And then I just looked at, okay, what am I going to do once I have that platform, once I have the financials to actually give back to the community? What would I want to do with that? One thing that I wanted to do was actually, my goal was to go back to Barron Springs, Michigan, where, that's my hometown, and actually just build a gym for the kids where it's free, where they could go there and just, utilize that and stay off the streets, so something positive for them to do. So that was like a way that I thought about leaving my legacy, is giving back to my community. So when I look at Hope Fuse, it's just a way that I could give back to the kids that are, underprivileged, that don't have the resources, that come from, low income or, just a broken family home. But then again, kids that come from a great family structure, they also need a mentor. Mm-hmm. So the focus and the mission beyond Hope Fuse is just to mentor kids, to develop leaders, to bring that purpose out of every youth. Because everybody has a unique gift. Now, our thing is, just to polish that and fine tune it, and also bring that purpose, so that, once we bring purpose in the youth's life, we get to see, we get to see less crime. And we just want to, in a nutshell, we just want to create leaders. We want to build them and actually set them up to the highest that they could go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was looking at your website yesterday, and it seems like you have, or my understanding is you have kind of three main programs: Spark, North Star, and Student Athlete. So you want to talk a little bit about kind of the services that you offer, and it seems like, at least my understanding is, you partner a lot with organizations like schools, but then you also have your building out there on Marion Road in Southeast Rochester, right?
Yes, that's right. So with the Spark program, the Spark program is actually our biggest platform, because that one is more like a character building. So that's what the kids, youth, boys and girls from ages 10 to 16. So with that, we want to start young and actually build them and actually, create like a vision board so they can see, okay, this is what I want to be when I grow up, or this is what I want to do to get where I need to be. So our goal as mentors, as teachers, as a positive adults is, to get those kids to where they need to get. So part of the Spark program, like I mentioned, is just that character building, just showing them, having a structure, the discipline to actually focus in school, and then also have an after school program. So what we do with that is, we partner with the YMCA, Rochester YMCA. We have a partnership with them. And what we do is, we have kids that go there and we focus on fitness and wellness. So the other two programs that we have actually that kind of correlate with all the programs that we already have and that are on the website is we have a dance team, which is a dance program where that's for both boys and girls. But again, the main purpose of the dance program is to empower girls, because I feel like there's not enough programs out there that empower women in general. So if we could start at a younger age and just empower them, build that self-confidence, that self-worth, and then just that value, I think that goes a long way. And then, we look at the North Star program. So, the North Star program, that's the purpose in place. So now, you're a little bit older, you're about freshman, sophomore, but the sophomore year is very vital with our program. That's where we want to fine tune and actually get that young adult to actually understand what, consequences and repercussions for your actions. Because before you get to the age of 18, we want you to understand that everything that you do can follow you either in a positive way or in a negative way for the rest of your life. So if we show, a young adult how to follow that and follow the path, deter them from the, reduce suspension, reduce, teenage parenting. That's another one of the outcomes that we actually measure in what we do as a program. And then, the student athlete program, as I mentioned earlier, I love sports. So going back and looking at, okay, what did I benefit from, or what did I know before I even went to college? I had the benefit and the opportunity to actually play with guys, my junior year, senior year. Actually goes back to my freshman year in high school, where I played with guys that played overseas. I played with guys that played in the NBA. So those guys actually kind of, mentored me how to go about basketball and also school. So I had those people outside of my parents. I had people that were like, okay, this is what you want to do. So, you got to make sure your character on and off the field, on and off the court, talk about grace, the importance of how you carry yourself as an individual. So that goes into what the student athlete program is. We talk about many different things. For anybody that's out there, just go on the website and you could kind of see exactly what each program entails.
So you work with kids from a variety of different ages in the Rochester area. How do the kids typically find Hope Fuse and get connected into your program?
Yeah, so right now, as the first year, we're doing professional referrals. So we're getting referrals from the schools, the county, and also anybody that might see a kid actually really needs it. So how they could get in the program is we have an application process or software on our website. So as a mentee, just go to programs, you hover over programs and you click on mentee, and it has, I think it's about 4 to 5 pages that you go through and just apply for that youth. So anybody that's under the age of 18 actually needs their parent or guardian to actually fill out that document. And anybody that's over the age of 18, because we do work with youth until the age of 21.
Okay.
So they go through that, and then that application actually comes to me, and then I review it. But the part of the process before I even accept the application is I want the parent and also the student, the mentee, to actually come take a tour of our building, because my main focus is that when the individual comes in here, they feel at peace, they feel safe in this environment, and the last thing I want is for a youth to feel like this is something that a parent or a school or anybody, an adult, is forcing this on them. So I want them to kind of feel that environment and the culture, and also, just to feel comfortable and also want it. Because if you don't want something, it's really not going to work for you. So that's what we like to have people come to the building.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. You can't force something. It has to be, you want to do this, and, like you said, you feel comfortable, and, that it's a place you belong.
Exactly.
So why is this something that you're passionate about? Why are you driven to do this?
Well, to answer that question, this has been the calling for me. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to be a basketball player. I wanted to play in the NBA, either the NBA or overseas in Australia. And my thing was, that's what I wanted to do. So that's what I thought, this is what I want to do in my life. And then after basketball, I want to mentor kids, or I want to help kids. Because I've always loved working with kids. Even when I was, 10 years old, I've always had a passion to work with kids, just just that connection that I have with youth and people in general is just something special. That's skill and something that I've been blessed with. So my passion behind it is, I just want to help kids as much as I can. Because for everyone that we help, the slogan is each one teach one. It goes a long way. And if I could make a difference in one person's life, that could go a long way, and that person could make a difference in the next person, and that could be just a communitive and a collective bargain that we could do here at Hope Fuse.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about the team you have at Hope Fuse? Because you have a pretty stacked board. So, who kind of is your support system there with this organization?
Yeah, so my support system actually, it goes back until my young childhood, adulthood, and just people that I've built relationships with in the past year. So I have my father on there, my uncle. I have a couple of close friends from when I was in Connecticut, and also to when I was my days went on the state. So my thing is I like to build connections, and when you go to college or when you're growing up in general, you find those people that they're going to be around you for a lifelong. So those are the ones that I talk to about just anything. If I need to talk to about just vent about, hey, this is what's going on at Hope Fuse. This is my dream. This is what I want to do. These people, everybody on my board has been influential. They've also helped me. And those are the people that I know if I need advice and not need to hear what I want, these are the people that tell me exactly what needs to happen. And, I think by having a strong foundation as my board and also my staff, it also helps me as the leader of Hope Fuse grow, and also putting that, empowering people around me, because I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. So having people around me that are, confident, that have knowledge is very important.
Yeah, no, that's so important to have people that push you and help you think a different way.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So my understanding is that you've had a lot of experience in nonprofits before, but now you're leading this one. So how do you learn and figure out how to take that leadership role? And I know sports are a great way to do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, some days, I have to pinch myself that, I am the founder and president of this organization that's going to be expanding and just growing. So as you mentioned, I have experience working in other nonprofits for about the last 10 years before I even ventured off to start my own nonprofit. It's just looking at how certain things were run in different organizations and actually picking from each organization and kind of making it to what Hope Fuse is. So, the way I treat my employees, or the way that I hold my board meetings, or the way that I interact with our mentees and the staff and networking is all important. It all comes from my experience with different organizations and, just looking at the way that I would go about doing things different if I was a leader or if I was a supervisor And now, like I say, as a president of this organization, I want it to be different compared to any other organization that's in town.
Yeah. And I think, right now we can't, it would be remiss not to talk about COVID-19 and how that's kind of affecting everything that we're doing. So, how has that impacted what you're doing at Hope Fuse? Like, can you still have kids out to the facility, or how has it impacted your day-to-day operations?
Yeah, so here at Hope Fuse, it's actually impacted us a great deal.
Yeah.
We actually, we've been on lockdown here for about a week and a half, and now with the governor, putting that executive order, so we actually going to be shut down for another, I think that's 10 or 12 days there.
Yeah.
So hopefully after, that April 10th deadline, hopefully maybe we could bring in, students, maybe no more than 10, and actually, continue to practice that social distance, 6 feet apart, and actually having those students come here and continue to do the e-learning, continue to have a mentor, helping them apply for colleges. Unfortunately, we don't know how this summer is going to look, but our goal was to have, our juniors and seniors actually participate in some internships and apprenticeships with other businesses that we have a partnership with, and continue to have talks about partnering and kind of helping these young adults to kind of accelerate and build that experience before they even graduate from high school.
Yeah, I feel like this is hardest on some of the kids because, you're at home, you're bored, you're not engaged or stimulated, and, you want to be around your friends, and it's just that's just so hard.
It's hard. It's hard, and that's why I'm hoping that, after the quarantine is uplifted, that we could have this youth that actually come here. So this would be like a breath of fresh air, where you could come here, you could shoot pool, you could talk, you could do things that, getting out of your environment, getting out of the house that you're just in there, you're stuck, you can't go anywhere, and actually, coming here and letting loose and, just enjoy life and still doing the academic part.
Yeah. How has this affected you kind of personally? How are you dealing with it? I know you have kids too. So how are you mentally getting through each day? What's your strategy?
Yeah. So for me, this is going to sound weird, but for me, this has actually been a blessing in disguise.
Okay.
I get to focus and, spend time with family, spend time with my son, and also just fine tune everything that I want to see with any rough edges that I see with Hope Fuse. I just go back in there and I kind of fine tune everything. So for me, this has been a blessing, and actually just, I get to sit back and actually see the impact of what, my calling in life is.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that it's really affected me is just not being able to be busy, which is good for me.
Yeah.
So I needed that.
No, I totally agree though. I think it's a great time to really look at your structure, your plans, and kind of how you're implementing that for, the foreseeable future. It's just a really weird time, and we've been it's a good time to sit and strategize, but you feel like you just want to do something, and it's hard.
Yes. And, so I have the joy of living out in the country, so I have, people can't go to the gym. Well, I have an elliptical, and I have a treadmill and punching bag and all these other things that I need in my garage, so I could still be active. I could still let out that, that energy and still work on my self-care. But, this, like I said before, this has just been a blessing, because I know everything happens for a reason, and God he does everything on purpose, for purpose, and with the purpose. So out of this whole thing, I firmly believe that Hope Fuse is going to be even stronger, and we're going to actually impact more lives.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of solidarity in the small business and nonprofit community here in Rochester. So it definitely gives me hope that, this hopefully has made us kind of come together a little better.
Definitely.
So I have some final questions here to take us to the end. And you'd said you're, might say not relaxing, but maybe not as busy. But so what are you reading or listening to right now?
Actually, on my way here, I was actually listening to Les Brown.
Okay.
So I try to listen to just motivational things, whenever I'm in the vehicle. I know it probably drives my son crazy, but that's just the way that dad keeps, his focus and things going. I'm also reading a book besides my grad school classes that I'm taking.
Yes.
I'm reading the book. It's called Billionaire Success Habits. And that one has actually kind of helped me. I've been reading that for about 2 months now, so it's kind of helped me kind of put family first, put my priorities in order, and actually it's really helped me to actually be where I am today. Everything that's in there correlates with my life and with my passion and my morals.
Nice. Yeah, this is a great way for me to add to my reading list too. It's really long at this point. All these
Definitely.
suggestions from people.
Yes, yes. How are you doing through this whole COVID-19?
You know, it's just kind of weird. I haven't realized how much I do like to interact with people. So that was kind of weird. I think it's amazing too how much, like, not that I want to do this forever. I could probably do it for another 6 weeks. But it's amazing how much like people can adapt. Like
Definitely.
you, I run, so I can run outside.
There you
And
go.
we have some home gym equipment. So that would be like the biggest issue for me if I couldn't do that.
There
So
you
it's been okay. My husband actually still does go to work, and they'll probably still continue to because they're considered an essential service.
go.
So yeah, so everyone's not like trapped, but we do Zoom calls a lot. So I feel like I'm on Zoom a lot. And just,
Okay.
the hardest thing actually has been I've actually been a lot busier the past 10 days or so, and it's really hard just to turn off work. And I think I finally just got that figured out like within the last 48 hours because I felt like I was always, I mean, we probably put in a 70-hour or 80-hour week last week, which was crazy because it never turned off. But I
Right.
mean, that was kind of crisis mode. But now it's like hopefully adjusting. So yeah, I've been busy though. So I'm thankful that I haven't, like everyone's talking about all these movies they're watching and all these videos they're binging. And I'm like, I haven't even had time yet.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, same. I mean, I think, once things quiet down a little bit, getting to think about strategy. So it kind of is a blessing in disguise because I have a ton of stuff I have to get through here that's sitting on my floor in my office. So got to go in today before we get the lockdown and get some of my equipment out of my office space. But yeah, it's been it hasn't been too bad yet, and I think we'll see. Everyone's going to be impacted by this,
Yeah, everybody, it doesn't matter what occupation you are. I think this is, I was kind of joking with one of my best friends back home, and I said, this is, he's putting everybody in a timeout.
Yeah.
Where we have to kind of self-reflect and then kind of think about, what's important. Yes, work and life is important, but then there's something else that's more important than that. Spending that time with your husband and kind of building that. Going back to okay, this is why we're together.
Yeah.
This is what's more important in life outside of work and running a business and everything that comes with life as an American. I think this will help out a lot of people. It might bring a lot of people closer together.
Yeah.
So no, keep staying active.
Yeah, no, that's my goal. I got to be careful on the snacks though, because
Yes,
the snacks are right there. So, but I do think it helps you focus on people and like helping too.
it does.
So that's been kind of what I've been trying to do in the priorities, right? The priorities. So this is a good question for thinking about once this quarantine ends. But what's your favorite spot to be at in Rochester?
Besides the gym, I would say I think maybe Thursdays on First.
Okay, nice.
Because we get to see a bunch of different people in their element.
Yeah.
And, everybody's not focused on work or busy. They're just enjoying the moment. You get to see, you get to see the beauty of the diversity that we have here in Rochester. And I feel, the only time that we get to see that is, in big gatherings such as Thursdays on First or events that are taking place at the Mayo Civic Center. But I would say that that's been one of my favorite things to do. And now that I have a son, he's, 14 months old, maybe we'll enjoy going to the maybe we'll enjoy, doing a couple of things there on Thursday on First. And actually, we're going to have a booth there. So myself and then also Arch Charities, we're going to have a booth on Thursday on First. So if you're over there, stop over at the Hope Fuse and Arch Charity booth.
I will stop by. That's a good one, though, too, because I always think about that. And I think especially this year, it'll be like extra special once we get to like be able to have that many people in one spot. Yes. But I always think about that when it's about February and I'm walking down because I work right close to there. And
that's right.
Yeah, and I'm like, in just a couple weeks, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, this is gonna be like, it's gonna be warm. This is gonna be like packed. So yeah, I think that'll be extra special this year for sure.
That will be special. That's definitely gonna be special.
Yeah. Then my last question for you: who's been one local person or resource that has been essential for Hope Fuse?
Oh, one person.
Or resource, organization.
I would say Cradle to Career. So Julie Brock, she's been vital. Also have a lot of close people that have been there with me, and there's some of them on the board. Also Sarah Louise, Pastor Andre Crockett, and just kind of seeing how Justin McNeil how he operates as a leader, just how he's humble. So, I'm trying to pick his brain and just trying to meet different people, that wear different hats, and actually just kind of, trying to learn, because I call myself a student of life. Or was it a life student?
Nice.
One of those.
We could all do that. We are all that. Yeah. Just have to take advantage of, the knowledge around you, right? The experience.
Definitely.
All right. So my final question for you, I'll ask you for any.
All right. Make it easy now.
I'll ask you for any final thoughts and where people can find out more about Hope Fuse and what you're doing.
Yeah. So final thoughts. I would just, ask people to support us. I know it's hard to support a new nonprofit when there's 669 nonprofits still in town. But, the goal and the mission of Hope Fuse, is our core values, integrity, dignity, honesty, and respect. I think if we help our youth understand those values, we could actually see, we could continue to enjoy our lives here in Rochester. That'll bring down the crime. And the way that we could go about that is to just have the community support, and just to help Hope Fuse get to where we need to get to. And I would just ask, for businesses that are out there, for anybody that's listening, if you want to support, if you want to make a donation, just to visit our website, that's hopefuse.com. You can make a donation there. You could also contact us, via email, or you could even call our office. So anything that you could do to kind of help and make a difference, that'll be my ask.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, being up for doing a Zoom podcast. We still have to keep moving forward, right?
Definitely. Now, I appreciate you, working with me and kind of getting this together. And, despite what's going on, uncertainty, in the world, we still have to move on with life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Have to keep whatever sense of normalcy we can.
Definitely.
But awesome. Well, I thank you so much for your time and for this wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much to Manasseh for joining us on the podcast today, being up for doing a Zoom call, and for really sharing his story and his passion for what he's doing here in the community. So again, you can find Hope Fuse on their website at hopefuse.com and on social media, and you can find links to those in our show notes. You can link up with more of our content about entrepreneurs in the Rochester area on our website at rochesterrising.org. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so check us out there. The best way to stay up to date with our content, I think, is to sign up for our weekly newsletter. So this is the General Collider newsletter. It comes out every Sunday morning. And you not only will get our article content, but also stay up to date on different events and educational opportunities for entrepreneurs in the Rochester area. So it's a great resource to sign up for. And you can find a link for that, sign up for our website on our website at rochesterrising.org. We're always looking for sponsors for our podcast. So if you listen in, if you enjoy the podcast, and if our mission to amplify stories of Rochester entrepreneurs aligns with yours, consider becoming a sponsor of this podcast. For more information about that, you can just send us an email at rochesterrising@gmail.com, or you can fill out the form on our website as well, and we will be in touch. That's a wrap for us on the podcast today. Be sure that you subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen in to your audio content so that you never miss a story of entrepreneurship and innovation coming out of Rochester, Minnesota. We'll be here next week with a brand new episode.